Hi, welcome back to Talking About Success. I'm your host, Jack Canfield. My next guest is Wayne Wakefield, who's written an incredibly cool book. It's called 40 Unbreakable Laws of Money. And I love this idea. Everyone wants to make more money, keep more money, have more money, and have the things that money buys and so forth. And you have written an incredible book. And it also says at the bottom, laws for business, success, and life. So first of all, just say a little bit about what this book's about, and then I want to ask you about how you came to write it, and then we'll talk about it some more.
Well, being in financial services at that time when I wrote the book is for over 30 years, I found out there were laws, actually physical laws, financial laws, that if you broke them or you didn't follow them, you would fail when it comes to business. You'd fail when it comes to getting older, and you retire, and then you find out you can't retire because you're still working. And I handle a lot of problem children out there that have IRS issues, have creditor issues, and so through structure, because I believe structure is everything, through mainly corporations, that you can protect people and give them the lowest taxable liability possible, legally, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I got tired of people taking a bloodbath out there in when it come to business or finance, because none of us were taught anything when we got out of high school or college about the one thing we try to spend the rest of our entire life trying to master, and that's a thing called money. So no one's taught this, and I believe it's a legacy. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy of a legacy of ignorance, financial ignorance, that's passed down from generation to generation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote the book because I wanted people to know that there's actual financial laws that are in place, and there's secrets to the free enterprise system. They don't know. It's not new. It's just new to them.
Yeah, we have a financially illiterate culture.
Yes,
We're not,
we do.
we're not teaching in the schools. I mean,
No.
you can graduate from college and never have learned this stuff. And it's insane, when it is such a lifeblood of
Well,
our...
I've had graduates with business degrees come out, and I asked them, I said, well, what I've taught you and what you learned in high school, in college, how much of that, what I taught you was in there? And they said, not a dang thing. They didn't use that word, but, and they were not happy. And because they'd spent all this money, and they'd learned that what was out in the real world, how it worked in the real world, is not really how it is.
Exactly.
It's quite an awakening for them.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you wrote the book, because there's a lot in here. Now, you have 40 laws.
Unbreakable.
Unbreakable.
Yeah.
Just like gravity.
Can't change them.
Exactly. So share some of the core laws with us.
Well, law one is the poor can't help the poor. I know everybody thinks I'm talking about a homeless person or somebody like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about that. What if you're poor in character? What if you're poor in understanding, poor in knowledge, poor, even if you have the knowledge, what if you're poor in applying that knowledge?
Mm.
That's why on the back of the book it says wealth has very little to do with money. It's about applied knowledge and your mindset. So you have to change your mindset around and do what the top 1% to 3% know. And again, it's not new, it's just new to you. So, people, they go out with financial ignorance, like you said, but then they do the same thing over and over, and then they find themselves 65, 75 years old, and they have to work. And there's a difference. I've had people ask me, said, well, Wayne, when are you going to retire? And I said, from what? I said, retirement's doing what you want to do, not what you have to do.
And you're doing what you want to do now.
Absolutely.
As I am, because my wife's always saying, come on, you're about to be 75, why aren't you retiring? And I'm going, and do what?
And from what? What are you going to do, watch TV?
Exactly. This is a sidebar, but when Mark Victor Hansen, my co-author on Chicken Soup, asked the Dalai Lama what's the best thing he could do for the poor, he said, don't be one of them.
I like that. I had not heard that before.
It's
I
good.
agree. I agree.
I agree too. So share another law with us.
Well, Law 2 is probably one of the most catastrophic laws that I've had to deal with, and the title of it is is if you can't change your friends, change your friends. And so, I have lost more money and brought more grief upon myself because I've hooked my wagon to the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, those bad people can take you down. And they can cost you literally thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So that particular chapter means a lot to me because I've been there, done that, I've seen the scams, I know the scams, been scammed, you know, had the pleasure. And so, try not to be scammed. And I get clients that call and they'll say, oh, I've got this great thing, and they go through it, and I say, it's a scam, and they go, no, it's not. And I said, call the FBI, and I'll give you the number, and ask them, you know. And it's simply because they are not taught, again, about money. They're not taught how to have structure so that their money is away from them, so they can't be sued personally, and then they lose everything they have. And my biggest, where I want to get people is to be wealthy poor people. Own nothing but control everything.
I get that. So talk about the importance of having a corporation, being incorporated rather than not being incorporated.
Well, one of my companies, Nevada Business Corporations, it files Nevada corporations because Nevada's the #1 place to file in the entire country. It's a tax-free jurisdiction, and it has no disclosure who owns it. And it's been doing it for 150 years. This is not new. That's how Disney went and bought all the swampland in Florida. They did it through Nevada corporations, trusts, and things like that. And so nobody knew they were buying swampland. So if someone was buying swampland, nobody thought anything about it. So they got it on pennies on the dollar. So anonymity is a very powerful reason to have a corporation. The other reason is, especially with the new tax laws that were passed last year, you and I can be as high as 37% personally. Corporation, it can make $20 million, and it's still in a 21% tax bracket, and they've changed it. There's no capital gains. There's nothing in a corporation. Corporations are not subject to self-employment tax. There's no Social Security on it. So if you structure it properly and keep your income down, then you're taxed only on this amount, but yet you have your companies out here that has all the different functions and different assets in it, so you keep them away from you, and you get the benefit of the money without taking the money. The minute you take it and put it in your pocket, that's when you get killed on taxes.
So let me ask you two more questions. Let's make a distinction between someone, let's say they just graduated from college,
Okay?
they're just starting out,
All right.
and then I want to make the distinction about someone who's maybe hearing this at the age of 50. So,
Yeah,
so,
okay.
so let's talk about the advice to the young college graduate coming out. Besides read my book, which I would encourage you to do because it's all in here.
Yeah.
But what advice would you give if you were sitting here talking to a 22-year-old kid?
Well, I've actually talked to groups of 20-year-olds that were in college or graduated from college. I had one, he majored in business and minored in entrepreneurialism, and I was teaching and mentoring him on how business works, and he was also a realtor. So just by showing him how to restructure and take his money differently, which he did not know, it's and very few people know, and yes, it's legal. Okay, so I tell people that I was able to save him about $5,500 on his current taxes. He didn't have to pay, and we had a top CPA handle his returns. So he learned, even though, and he was the one that made the statement, I've learned nothing after 4 years in business. And he's now an entrepreneur by himself. He has his own photography company, still a realtor. And so the young people, the challenge I have with young people, they're smart, they've got dreams, but the problem is they won't listen because they're going to take on the world. I know you and I never had that issue when we were young. The 50-year-old, those are generally my clients because they had all the dreams, they had all the desires, they went out and set things up, but then they find out when I talk to them that they're getting killed, they're giving away about half of their money to federal, state, and self-employment taxes. And I said, who told you? I have who told you questions. who told you have to pay all those taxes? And they said, well, that's how it's done. And I said, well, if you structure it properly, I can save you 1/3 on your taxes just by taking your money differently. And again, the first question I get is this really legal? I said, go to the Schedule D book, taxes. It tells you claim everything you make, but deduct everything to which you're entitled. But the thing is I also tell them in the book, this is not the IRS's responsibility to train you. That's your job. So don't look for the IRS to train you. You have to go find one of my laws, Law 28, it says, don't fear the IRS. Learn the rules. But Law 29 says, don't raise the ire of the IRS. Don't go out there and be doing stupid things that trigger that computer.
Right. And
now you're audited and you're doing things. And a lot of people say, well, I didn't know. Well, there's a federal law that says you should have known. And so, yeah, you can get hurt very badly if you don't know the secrets. And my book covers a lot of that.
Now, when I was in my 20s, I was working for a guy named W. Clement Stone, who's a self-made multimillionaire.
Wow.
He's worth $600 million at the time. He had billionaire by today's inflationary
Wow.
standards.
Uh-huh.
And he advised me to start buying. At that time, he was not selling, but he was promoting the idea that I should buy annuities, which was an investment. And I didn't do it. Because when you're in your 20s, you want the car, you want the good
Right.
clothes, you want your first apartment, you want the couch, you want the TV set, and all this stuff.
Right.
And I wish I'd listened to him. Where are you on the idea of, like, you're talking to the 20-year-old again about saving, investing? Talk about that for a moment.
Well, I believe one of the fastest way you can become financially independent is learn how real estate works. I have a real estate academy where I bring students in a couple of times a year. I actually got the idea from a gentleman by the name of Jack Canfield. And so they come to my estate and I train them for 1 week. And I can't take 30-some years of knowledge and plug it in their head in a week. But then I coach them, like you do. I coach them for a year, but if they'll listen to me and do what I tell them to do, then they can, even at a young age, they can become a multimillionaire. And simply because they now have the knowledge. It's all about knowledge, the proper knowledge, and being able to apply it. And that's why I mentor people afterwards. The value's in the training, yes, but the real value is in the coaching afterwards, because they're gonna go out and they're gonna make every mistake you told them not to make.
They don't have the coaching.
Always.
Right.
So you coach them, you mentor them, you guide them, and I tell people, if you'll listen to me, then I will get you there. If you do what I tell you to do. And again, everything I teach in taxes or corporate structuring or buying real estate, all those secrets, I said, if you want to test them, I'll send you the IRS codes. You go check it out yourself. So I teach people on real estate how to buy I've bought real estate for over 27 years. And tens of millions of dollars of real estate. I've never once qualified for a loan, ever. Never used a dime of my own money, no FICO score, no financials. And they look at me like I just got off the drug truck when I tell them that. And I said, it's not new, it's just new to you. And so the fastest way to save money, I believe, and to create your fortunes is through real estate. You can do it through stocks, bonds, and all that, but then now to me, that's professional gambling. So
It is gambling, it's no question.
That's my opinion anyway.
Well, I'll just go back to my mentor, who was W. Clement Stone. He made his fortune in real estate as well. And he had a huge insurance empire, but he was constantly buying real estate. And the other two things he said was OPE and OPM.
Absolutely.
Learn from other people's experience.
Yes.
And use other people's money, which you just
Always.
talked about.
Always.
Always. All right, so I had some good mentorship. This is
Yes,
good.
you did.
All right, so here, this book is like, how many years of experience are in this book?
Over 30.
Over 30 years of
30
experience. So other people's experience, and learn how to use other people's money, how to get involved in real estate, all these wonderful things. You talk about cars, what to do in that world and so forth. You gave me this book a little while ago, and I read a lot of it, and everything in there was just so valuable. It's taught so simply. But you have beyond the book, you talked about your real estate academy.
Correct.
You consult with people, you're a keynote speaker, you run workshops and so forth.
Yes.
You mentor and coach. If people want to get a hold of you, learn more, where do they go?
Probably the easiest place to go is to WayneWakefield.com.
WayneWakefield.com. Okay.
It talks about my academy, it talks about the different things, and you can go from there to the other things.
Very good. And make sure you get 40 Unbreakable Laws of Money. It's like going through life if you don't understand gravity, you're going to be in big trouble. And you need to understand the laws of money as well. Well, thank you, Wayne.
All
Lots of
right.
wisdom there. Thank you.
Jack. It was a
Appreciate it.
pleasure.